Hey everyone, Mac is back to continue the series with the commanders that I'm going to go through. I have actually decided to reduce the size to per video to 3 because it just takes too long to go through 5 at a time. So I'm going to do 3 to try to cut down on the video time, just so everyone's not here for too long. So the previous one was 3. I already have the other 2 done from the previous video, so this time we'll just do 1 more and let's get to it. And next we're going to go into Arya, who is, by far the best free-to-play commander. So if you are free-to-play, I suggest getting her as high as possible and all of her and everything that you possibly can do, because she's useful in just about everything, and that's one of the advantages. One of the nice things about being free to play if you have her fully taken care of. So for Rebel Leader, she's one of the best. Her base damage, when this is her awakened at 4 stars, she's doing almost 12,000 damage just with that. And then you're really going to want to use her against the spear for the counter. I've actually used her against bowmen as well. I've used her against infantry sometimes. I mean, depending on what you have, because sometimes you don't have enough cav attackers to go against those infantry, so you just throw one that's another infantry in there, and although she's not getting the extra damage, she still does a load of damage for that, so she's very good. When it comes to your army, she's really good as well. When you have her at gold finally, you'll get the total attack 15%, and you'll get infantry defense at 30%, which is really nice. So if you have a infantry frontline, she'll be a staple in there, especially free to play. And then even if you're not free to play, if you have, shows you a good complement to Layla, because she is a female commander, so she's ranked really high for the army as well. And that leads right into her awakening skills, because her 4-star awakening is going to be that death marker, which gives an extra 20%, 20% attack. Then you're going to want that as well, because then that can increase very nicely throughout the battle, what you want. And then as we get into another one that's really good in the tavern, she starts you off at 5 stars for combat rate, then you throw on the 6-star once you get her to 2 stars in awakening. So it's very, very nice. The command is also just a bonus kind of on top of that. And then when considering the training grounds, she's again one of the best in there as well, regardless, especially early on when you're new to the game, putting her behind like Rob, because he's a cav and they try to counter with spears, and if they're not careful, then she'll run into the spear and she'll destroy that spear before it kills Rob. So it's very nice. And once you have her fully awakened like I do, as you can see, she hits the target 3 times with her ability of Alamogoris, and she does another 4,500 times 3. So you're doing, what is that, 13,500 damage, which is really, really good as well. And then there you go, reduces defense for enemies by 3,600 for 10 seconds at the beginning of the battle. So it reduces all the defense of those. That's a nice, passive ability. It only lasts for 10 seconds, but still, that first 10 seconds of battle is going to be pretty crucial. Adds 4,300 damage whenever an enemy is killed. So if Rob does die, then she gets more damage and it stays on there. So she could really stack up near the end of the battle if she's still alive, with if all your commanders start to die, and then another 190 to her crit chance, which is more damage as well. So very, very good in the training grounds. Also very good skills as well. And last but not least, we're going to get to Latz here. And Latz for the Rebel leaders is actually really good. And the reason she's really good is because of some of her skills that she has. I'll talk about these a little bit later, but just in general, if you look at her health is really high, her base damage is good. She has some good defense as well. She says, a single attack target. You can see that right here, and that just tells you that in a Rebel leader, you're only attacking one person, or one enemy. So that makes it really, and then her skills go along with that as well, and I'll get into that a little bit later. As for her army, her specialization here, another one, if you have an infantry front line or even a back line, it doesn't matter. If you have any infantry, you're going to want her, especially for a front line though, because you're talking about 40% across the board here for health, attack, and defense, which is very, very nice. And then looking beyond that as well, you're talking to her awakening, And if you awaken her, you can see that that was 64%, so you win another 24% there. Plus, if you have her awakened as well, you can check her hidden abilities, and she's going to get another, looks like 26, 26, and 28% across the board. You know, so she's looking at, I think it's like 90% infantry attack, health, and defense, which is just massively stupid high. So definitely get that done, get that, you know, on there if you can. Get her awakened to 3 stars. Highly recommend that, especially for those infantry front lines. Looking at her special ability, in battle every 3 seconds, Commander Latz increases the allied lineup defense by 5%. When fully stacked, every 3 seconds, Commander Latz heals 1% of the. So this right here is not really that great. The heal percentage of 1% is not bad. It gives you a little bit extra damage there, you know, depending on when it actually procs off. But in general, not really that great of a 3-star ability. Let's go to the tavern. And here in the tavern, she does have combat rates, so she starts at 4 stars. You get her to 2 stars, and she'll give you that extra 1 as well. So it'll be up to 5, which is nice. And then these are just some these other things on the end here, the latitude and a little bit of gold. So that's not too bad as well. And looking at her skills, going back to that when we were talking about the rebel leaders, we're going to talk about the training grounds, which is very similar to the rebel leaders in some aspects. She does this 18,000 damage when she gets her skill off, and reduces their might by 600, and that is really, really good. So that's basically saying that she's going to do a ton of damage, plus she has her base damage, and then she's going to reduce them or delay them from getting off their ability as well. She also is a self healer, so she'll recover almost over 6,000 health every 3 attacks. So once you get 3 attacks in, she gets 6,000, and she gets 12,000. She gets, you know, she keeps getting more and more health, which is nice. She can recover. Obviously, she's going to be getting smacked pretty good because you're going to have her as in the front. But still, 9,000 defense there. Plus, you're adding another 5,000, so you're talking 13, 14,000 defense. I mean, that's more than actually what Seg had. So, so really, really good defense. And then attacks deal an additional damage equal to 10% of the enemy target's health, capped at 88, almost 9,000. So another one that does damage here as well. And you would even have to have her in the training grounds, in the front line. I'm sorry, not the training grounds, the rebel leaders. You could put her in the back line. In the training grounds, you're almost always going to have her in the front. You're not going to want to have like 2 tanks because she's very tanky as well. So her skills are just very, very good. So this is just the first video of many that I'm going to start doing, and hopefully this you learned a little bit from it, and I'll have these all ranked out. And then until next time, Mac out. And next up, we're going to talk about Chris. He is the next on our list here. And Chris for Rebel Leaders is at the very beginning of the game. He'll be your tank for either probably for both. Well, I guess mostly spear. But once you get into the higher levels, even as a free-to-play, you're probably not going to have Chris unless you're going against like a level 4 or something. So not really that great against Rebel Leaders at the beginning of the game, and that's just about it. When it comes to your army, he actually is pretty good for an infantry commander, especially for free-to-play and at the beginning of the game, because he has infantry health and infantry attack, which are very nice for a front line and even for a back line as well. But you get 30% on those, which is really, really nice. And then if you do upgrade him to the for awakening, you can actually get you actually get some more decent stats. As you can see that I had showed before, his specialization goes to the 48% there, but you also get his hidden abilities as well, so you get an extra 18 defense, and then you get also infantry attack and health here as well, which is pretty good. Don't really care about the construction speed, especially at this point in the game once you get him upgraded to 4 stars. And then looking at these his other abilities as well, his main ability here is skill is Glorious Sacrifice. Whenever you're an infantry, your infantry loses 5%, your infantry defense gains 3%. So not actually pretty terrible abilities. His awakening ability is actually really not that good whatsoever. So you're really not going to use that too much. And then looking at his training grounds, he's actually going to be a pretty decent tank in there. You can get his health up pretty high, and once you awaken him, his base attack is actually decent, and his defense, once awakened, you can see I have him at 3 stars. He's almost at 10,000. And then his abilities over here as well, you'll see that he has he'll do the 3-second stun, which is very, very good. and he'll grant a damage reduction for 5 seconds, so it's every 10 seconds. So that's a nice little piece, defense in there for a tank, of course. And then he adds defense for 5 seconds when attacked, and it triggers every 15 seconds. That's not really that great. But then at the beginning of the battle, he'll add that defense on there, so it'll be over 10,000 defense once you have him. If you get into 3 stars at the very least. So that's also a nice little tidbit to have. And then in the tavern, as you can see here, his abilities are not what you're gonna want. Maybe earlier in the game, and if you're not a fighter, if you're not a PvP kind of person, the aptitude is pretty good. At the command, you really don't care about too much. Free troops are nice, but you're not really going to upgrade them for that. As you can see, I have them to level 27 and haven't really put any more effort into it, so really not worth it in that aspect. So as for anything else, his, like I said, his awakening and his army and whatnot are okay, but there's not. This is more of a free-to-play player, a commander that you're going to want to use, but not anything else crazy that you're going to want to do there. So Mac out.